day format, so I've got a couple of things I have to read, and then you'll have an opening statement. We'll do questions for the kids, if that works.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the press conference for the Kansas State women's basketball team. We're joined at the podium by head coach Jeff Mitty and student athletes Serena Sundell and Tamira Poindexter. Just a few reminders before we begin. As a courtesy, please make sure that your cell phone is on silent. Also, please make sure that you raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone to you. Identify your name and media affiliation each time that you ask a question. If you're joining on Zoom, we do have several. Please use the raise hand function for questions. I'll make sure everybody in the room gets their question answered first and then come to you. And recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited, and flash photography is also not permitted. So we will begin with the opening statement from our head coach.
Well, I think everybody just witnessed one of the great games in the tournament right now. That was it's hard to even go over all the big shots both teams made. You go the last 10 minutes of the game, and there were just huge shots by both teams and different players. And I'm really proud of our group to be down 5 and to need to really dig deep defensively and make plays, but also very little margin for error at the other end. But we just tried to get them to focus on 3 stops at the other end and in good possessions at the offensive end. And proud of our group for doing that. Yeah, just a lot of really, really big plays in this game, and we're glad to come out on the right side. It obviously could have gone either way, but these games are like that, especially when you have, I think, 2 really good basketball teams, and so excited for this group. They've worked extremely hard. They've been a resilient group. I don't think that you guys got to witness when we have Lee how good this team can be. She's a factor at both ends of the floor. She offensively makes people pay attention, and obviously you don't replace all Americans, and we know that. But she gave us everything she could give us today through foul trouble. Kennedy Taylor gave us a big lift. So. I could go on, but just a great basketball game and just a great win for our program.
All right, we'll open it up with questions for the student athletes. Please raise your hand.
Alex White, Rise Up Sports Media. Tamira, you started 0 for 5 from 3, and then you ended up with 8 threes in that game. What do you tell yourself just to have the confidence to keep shooting the ball, obviously knowing you can hit big shots when it matters?
Honestly, it's my teammates that tell me and give me the confidence, because in those moments I do get down on myself. So my teammates come in and help having my back and telling me to keep shooting is really what lifts me up and gives me the confidence. So.
Talia Goodman on 3 for either of you guys. It felt like as soon as Lee got in foul trouble, you guys immediately stepped up. It felt like the momentum shifted a little bit. Did you feel that, and what were you guys kind of telling yourselves in that moment?
I mean, we've been playing without her for a month or so now, more than a month, so we know the team that we are with her on the court, and we know that we can be just as good, but in a different way without her on the court. So having girls like Kennedy Taylor step up is so big for us, having our shooters to stay confident, because we know that that's our strength, and not shy away from that when it's one of the main factors of what's made us successful all year. I think was really big in that moment to just kind of be able to rely on our habits.
Kyle McClellan, KY Insider. Question for both of you. Were you shocked about the zone looks? At one point you already have your double-double and you already have a couple threes. Were you all expecting a different look? And coming out of that late timeout in the 4th, what were y'all preparing for?
I think we were prepared. I think Coach Mitty in the huddle said, be prepared for a zone and run what we're going to run no matter what they're in. So I think it didn't catch us off guard, and we were ready for it.
Chris Beesmore with ABC 36. How were y'all able to come back from the slow start down 7-0 and then, of course, come back at the end after being down 5 or 6 points in the final minute?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all came into the locker room at halftime and we were like, we're in a really good spot. We didn't shoot the ball very well, but we got the exact looks that we wanted. So we knew if we stayed consistent, we were going to keep getting those looks and eventually they were going to fall. And then there was one specific timeout towards the end of the game. We were down 5, I think, a minute and a half left or so. And Coach Mitty was like, just believe. So I think this team, we came into this game knowing that we were capable of winning. We never lost that throughout the whole 45 minutes. We knew that we had a shot and we were going to play till the buzzer. So I think just the confidence of this team is what carried us through.
Any other questions in the room? I do have a couple on Zoom. Okay, I'm going to go Zach Deloach. I'm going to go to you first. Go ahead.
You hear me? Go ahead. For both of you, just how difficult is it to stay locked into a game like that where there are just so many lead changes and just big shots and then you're playing 5 extra minutes? How hard is it to stay locked in and what did you do well in order to keep stepping up?
I mean, I think this game we were just lost in the game. Like we knew they were making big shots, but then we'd come and hit a big shot, and then once you kind of get in that rhythm, obviously you want to get stops on the defensive end, but that's a really good offensive team. So knowing that they're gonna find ways to score the ball, but no, we have to come back and push it back at them just to give ourselves a chance. So I don't think it was hard necessarily to stay locked in to the game. I mean, you're just lost in such a big game and such a big moment.
All right, we're going to go to Landon Reinhardt next.
Hey, Landon Reinhardt, KSNT 27 News in Topeka. Serena, you guys, this is the biggest point that you guys have been able to reach in your career. To be able to have on your team's resume this group of seniors that you guys are in the Sweet 16, is that a relief at all, knowing that you've made it to this point now?
I don't know if I would say relief. I'm excited for our group. I once again knew we were capable of getting here. I'm proud of this group, and we want to keep going as far as we can. But yeah, I think we've just worked really hard, and I'm so happy for these girls. Just all that we've been through these last 4 years, especially just a year ago this time when we lost on our home court. We've had that kind of sticking with us in the back of our mind. So to come out here today and get a win, I'm just super happy for us.
Next, we're going to go to Arnie Green.
Yeah, Arnie Green from Topeka Capital Journal. Serena, just wanted to ask you about, it was kind of 2 different halves for you. Early on, you were pretty much the only one scoring, but then the second half, it looked like, I think, you ended up with 14 assists and broke the record. Just maybe talk a little bit about how the game unfolded for you and what your thinking was from one half to the other.
I mean, I was kind of just taking what the defense was giving me in the first half. I found myself open, and I was confident. I was ready to go. I was hitting shots, so I was, that always helps when you make a few shots at the beginning of the game. You want to keep shooting. So that's what was working in the first half. And then I was telling my shooters the whole game, keep shooting. Keep shooting. They have to fall. Jalen, keep shooting. Taryn, TP, keep shooting. So once they, got going and I could use the gravity of Yoki, and we're hard to stop because defense has to make a decision. So, yeah, I don't know what switched, but I think my teammates just came alive a little bit.
We're going to go back to Zach Deloach on Zoom.
Serena, you are now the school's career record holder for assists. How does that personal accomplishment compare to this team accomplishment today, getting to the Sweet 16?
It doesn't compare. It doesn't compare. I would choose the Sweet 16 every single day over getting that record. A really cool record, and once again, credit to my teammates for being able to make shots. To be honest, at the beginning of this year, I didn't really see that record being something that I would reach, but I've been able to play with a bunch of really good shooters, and obviously having Yoki gives me a lot of different options, but definitely way more excited about being able to advance.
Any additional questions for our student athletes?
Jenna Lifshin, Kentucky Colonel. Obviously, you guys played here on Friday, but tonight the environment was way different. Did you guys feel prepared coming into it, knowing it was going to be that loud, or did you have to adjust early on?
I feel like we were prepared. We know this is their home floor, and yeah, I mean, if we played at home, it would be the same way. So I feel like we were definitely prepared.
All right, ladies, thank you very much. Congratulations. You can be dismissed. And we'll open it up for questions for the head coach.
Jenna Lifshin, Kentucky Colonel. Coach, on Friday you said you didn't have the answer to stopping Georgia Amore. How do you feel your defense did tonight, and do you think they found the answer to that?
Well, you know, a player like her, it's tough. It's tough. She does so much for her team. I thought we did a good job, though. I thought they stuck to the game plan, even when Georgia was able to do some things that I didn't like. She's such a good player. You know, she hits that huge three behind the ball screen. You know, you're not gonna. If you find some success, you're fortunate, but I'm proud of our group. I'm proud of Zy Walker for taking on the task, because one of the things that having a Zy Walker does, it allows Serena to not have that defensive stress. It allows Jay not to have that defensive stress. And Zy loves it. Zy loves it. Zy loves the challenge, and she didn't have the only. We switched some things, but I thought our defense was pretty solid on her all night. We just wanted to keep her in front. I don't remember too many times that she got to the rim, but she's a heck of a player, and she'll have a heck of a pro career because she just makes everybody around her better.
Coach Kyle McClellan, KY Insider, with 20 lead changes in this game, without going back and watching film yet, just initial reaction, what do you think the team can do better with keeping a lead or not giving up those threes, you know, going back and forth?
What our team can do better? Yeah, you know, there was a stretch where I felt like they were getting every loose ball, which was hurting us to maybe have a 6-7-0 run. And every loose ball they got, you know, they got a couple threes that hit. They got a big jumper late. And we just weren't getting off contact. And then, you know, Lee got a little hesitant because she could not pick up another one. So, you know, she blocked out a couple times. And so we could definitely do that better. But, boy, it's hard to argue with this game. You're not going to do everything perfect. I loved the fight. I loved our answers. I loved our answers when Kentucky made big runs and the crowd got loud. We answered back, and we answered emphatically, and many times it was Poindexter in the second half. In Serena, certainly. But I'm proud of our group for being able to fight back in front of a hostile crowd and a pretty loud crowd.
Randy Maynard, Nolan Group Media. Your players touched on it a little bit, but the slow start, it was over 4 minutes before you scored your first bucket. And what do you attribute that slow start to?
I'm going to guess a little bit of nerves. I liked our shots. I had no problem with our shots. I had no trouble with our reads. They were the right reads. They were the right looks. They were, you know, just I'm going to guess a little bit of nerves, a little bit of excitement. And, you know, I remember the first media, I just kept saying, hey, look, we're getting the looks we've talked about. Okay, keep doing it, trust each other, don't try to do too much. Let's get a few more stops defensively. So I felt pretty good about where we were at.
Hey, Coach, Talia Goodman from On3. It's rare to see a player start 0 of 5 from deep and then end up with 8 of them. Just how impressed were you overall with Tamira's her mindset and her performance tonight?
Yeah, really proud of her because, you know, this was, you know, she transferred to us, and this was one of her reasons. I want to play with a team like this. You know, a lot of transfers go, I want playing time. I want this. She goes, I want to go to the NCAA tournament. I want to be a part of the NCAA tournament. I haven't done that in my career. Her dad just about broke my ribs out there with a little hug. He's a big man. If you guys see him, he's a big guy. He was as excited as I've ever seen anybody for Tamira because those were things that she said right away. And it's rare, right? It's rare. Most players are looking for playing time. She said, Coach, I want to go to an established locker room. I want to go to a group that wants to go further. And to see her step up in the biggest moments after a start like that, it's pretty special.
Stevens, Kentucky Sports Radio. Coach, just obviously it was a great game. Just what are your takeaways of, first of all, Kentucky, and then Kenny Brooks' first season at Kentucky?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Lexington should be really excited about their team and their coach. Kenny's a great guy and excellent coach. They've got a really, really bright future. There's a good atmosphere in here today, and I would expect that atmosphere to get better and better. But they've got a really, really, really quality team and a team that competes really well. But that doesn't surprise me. I've watched Kenny's teams over the years, so just a quality team, and he'll keep putting together quality teams out there.
Hey, Coach, Brad Harvey, College Sportscast. I just wanted to ask you about the last 20 seconds. Kentucky got a couple of offensive rebounds and got a few chances, and I just wanted to ask you about it and kind of run through your take on the last 20 seconds.
I didn't enjoy it until the very end, until that buzzer went off. Look, a lot of bodies flying, right? They don't have any timeouts left. To hit the reset button, a lot of bodies. It's hard for me. I had a little bit of an angle on the last one. I felt like it was short, but I wondered if it wasn't wishful thinking at the time, right? So just a great effort and obviously a lot of joy when that horn went off, because you're right, Kentucky got the extra chances there and they just couldn't convert. It happens like that sometimes. We've been there and their kids were scrapping as hard as you could scrap, and sometimes it just doesn't fall.
We're going to go to Zoom and take one question while we get our mic situated. Zach Deloach, we're going to come to you.
Zach Deloach, Manhattan Mercury. Coach, you've gone 9 and 10 deep all season long, but today just 7, even in overtime. I'm curious about the decision there and how you felt like those 7 players handled such long minutes.
Glad it didn't go 50. I thought they handled it as well as they could. I did not see a lot of fatigue from Serena or Jay. They both went the full. We felt coming in that we probably weren't going to go 10 deep, but we didn't know how the game would evolve. Kennedy obviously gave us a big lift in the first half. She was plus 16, I think, at halftime. Plus 16. So that's a huge number. And so, I planned on going a little deeper at the center spot, but Kennedy was giving us such a good lift and playing with such passion that I felt pretty good about rotating her and Yoki at that time.
Coach, how you doing? Corey here with Bosmer Media.
Hey, Corey.
Crucial moments like that, how important is it for a coach to have, thoughts within himself about maintaining control and not having self-doubt and being able to handle moments like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think as a coach, my job is to, get them to believe and to get their eyes forward. There was only one stretch where I thought that our eyes were a little bit backwards. There was a ball that went out of bounds with about 2.5 to go, and Serena hung too long in the backcourt. She was kind of complaining that she thought the ball went off them, and that next timeout was maybe I took a timeout at some point in there, minute 46 maybe, and I said, hey, we have to get 3 stops here. We have to all be locked into this. But that was the only time I ever saw us backwards. And I do think it's my job, as much as I always agree with the officials, when I don't agree, it is hard to make sure that I don't overreact to that. This particular team hasn't reacted well when I've overreacted. I'm going to be honest. I told them 2 weeks ago, I go, look, I want to fight for you guys, but you're not reacting well if I react strongly. So I'm going to not react strongly. I've got to let you guys play through it. And, you know, I think that this group is trusting each other more. And, you know, Lee back from a basketball perspective is huge, but Lee back from a communicator on the floor, she's one of the best communicators I've ever coached. And she is one of the best. She sees things well, and I think that gives us a lot of confidence to also go to the next play.
Thank you very much. That's all the time that we have for today. Just a couple of quick reminders. Hammond Communications will post a recording in the NCAA Digital Media Hub, and transcripts are provided by ASAP.
Can I say one more thing? I do want to say this. The people of Lexington have been phenomenal, and I do want to thank everybody because we did have let me just put it this way. The training staff, I appreciate what they've done for us. I appreciate what their medical staff has done for us. I can't thank them enough and I can't thank the fans enough and the hotel enough. It's been a good trip, and the people of Lexington have been great. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Coach. This concludes the press conference. Coach, thank you. Good luck. We good? Thank you for joining us for the press conference for the Kentucky women's basketball team. We're joined at the podium by head coach Kenny Brooks and student athletes Georgia A. Moore and Deja Lawrence. And we will begin with an opening statement from our head coach.
Congratulations to Kansas State. It was a very good basketball game. Hope everybody was entertained. It was really fun to be a part of. It was two good basketball teams going at it. They made probably one more play than we did, so they're moving on. So congratulations to them. Hard fought, and it's an emotional time for us right now. Obviously, these two young ladies beside me represent everything that we stand for, and so to see this season come to an end is a little disappointing. But regardless, it was a heck of a year. It was one of the more enjoyable seasons I've ever been a part of, and a large part was because of their leadership.
We'll open it up with questions for our student athletes.
Maybe with ESPN, walk us through kind of that last possession and kind of what was running through your mind when you got free on the baseline and then saw that first bounce as you kind of watched that flash shot go.
Nothing. No, we ran that play. We've run that play all year. They kind of bit when I went off the handoff. Usually it is a handoff, so I had to reject it. And as soon as I caught it, I realized how open I was, and it's up to fate at that point.
Jenna Lifshin, Kentucky Colonel, Georgia. First, I want to congratulate you on an amazing season. You opted to take your 5th year of eligibility to come to Lexington. What was your favorite part about wearing blue and white, and what will you remember about this team?
It's deep. I think in the locker room, like we were kind of saying, that it's been such a blessing for both of us to bring Kentucky back. Obviously Kentucky is a name brand on the men's side, but I told the girls, it's up to you on whatever you decide, but hang around because it's only going to go up from here. It's an attractive style of play. Coach Brooks proves that he's a winner, so I think it's cool to be the foundation and be the, just project the program forward. That's been the greatest thing, is seeing, the crowds come back game after game. Even Memorial, I didn't see the old one, but I heard of it. So it's been cool to play in the new one and to kind of just get things rolling back again.
Randy Maynard, Nolan Group Media. Georgia, I was super impressed through the handshake line at the end of the game, how you kept a stiff upper lip and you weren't dragging your demeanor, and like many players I've seen who had such a misfortune at the end of the game. How could you have such a good demeanor?
I mean, I'm not going to let one shot affect 5 years. Like, that's pretty much it.
Deja, this one's for you. This is Brad with College Sportscast. Kind of the same with what they asked Georgia. I mean, for you coming into Kentucky this year and getting to experience the NCAA tournament on this stage, what does that mean to you?
I mean, that's why I came here. I knew that I wanted to win and go far in the tournament, and I knew that coming here, we was going to make the tournament. So this year has been so amazing. I was telling my teammates that this year I've had so much fun. This is the most fun I've ever had in my years in playing college basketball. Just how we were strangers months ago. You should have seen our first practice putting in the offense. It was horrible. But now coming back to see what we've grown into in just a short amount of time, and how we, just like Georgia said, the locker room, how we get along, just how we're always there for each other. It's been so much fun. I would never take this year for granted. I would never take playing with Georgia A-Moore or being coached by Coach Brooks for granted. This year has been it's been so fun, and it was something that I will always cherish. So, yeah.
Tonya Witt, Rise Up Sports, more of a comment than a question, but I just want to thank both of you guys for taking a chance on Kentucky, injecting life into the Kentucky fan base in women's basketball, and I think I can say this for all of Big Blue Nation. Thank you.
Caroline Mikauskis, Lexington Herald Leader. This one's for both of you. We asked you, I think ahead of the Senior Day game, what you two have learned from each other. Now that this chapter has come to a close, I want to ask you that again, knowing all that you guys were able to lead this team to accomplish.
I'll go. I know just for me, G has taught me to, no matter what, again, show up and work hard. G has had an amazing career. I followed her career since she's came to college. I've always been a fan. I think when I first committed, she texted me. I said, "Oh, Georgia texted me." But no, just always just showing up, being the best version of yourself. I don't think I've seen G have a bad day in practice or in a game or anything like that. So she's so mentally strong, and she uplifts us every day. And no matter if we just turn the ball over, took a bad shot, or anything like that, she just shows up as the best version of herself, no matter what she's going through at home or outside of basketball. So that's the one thing that I will forever take, and always working hard. She didn't get in this position that she's in just because she showed up. She showed up every day and worked her tail off every single day. So I will always remember that, and just always, because of her, show up and work no matter what. And I know that if I do that, great things will happen. So
that's sweet. Deja, I mean, she makes the most out of every single situation she's put in, you know, on the court, off the court, whatever it is. Like, she might not be seen to be the go-to, but she makes the clutch play. She makes the clutch defensive play. She's intelligent. People gravitate towards her, and I think that's her nature, you know. But she's not fake, you know. People don't gravitate towards her because she's, you know, this lovely person, which she is, but she's going to be real with you. She's going to tell you what she needs from you. So I think that transparency and honesty is the way that she is able to communicate is really, really impressive. And she's a great leader. And the girls love her. Like, I've never seen someone in 1 year come into a space and, you know, no one has a bad thing to say about Dee. So I think it's just so impressive. You know, her move from Charlotte to here, maybe like it was a different role on the court, but she's taken it with stride. She's made the absolute most out of her last year. She probably dreamed of being in this position, and she's made the most out of it. So it's really inspiring.
Deja Ben Baby with ESPN. Y'all were up 5, and then they were able to find some success on the perimeter, both at the end of regulation and the beginning of overtime. Is there anything y'all maybe could have done a little bit differently to make sure that maybe those were maybe tougher looks or things of that nature?
Yeah, obviously we just had a lapse, just being more aware of who was on the perimeter and things like that. So just being more aware, more locked in those final possessions.
Any other questions for our student athletes? Last one.
Alex White, Rise Up Sports Media. Georgia, you have a really special relationship with Coach Brooks. Can you just kind of talk about that? And I'm sure you will, but will you be staying in touch with him moving forward?
No, actually, we're cutting off contact like as of right now. No, I think the coolest thing, and he said it in the locker room, and I already had thoughts about it. Like, it's not the end. Like, that's the coolest thing. But I think nothing really needs to be said. You know, you can look at every single year. You can look at my decision to come here. Like, this year, we probably drained ourselves in some capacities to be successful. And I think every single day we treated it as extra. You know, we weren't supposed to have this, so let's make the most out of it. So I think it's going to be weird not being coached by him, but, you know, it's not like I can't just FaceTime him. Like, I'm sure I'm going to be blowing up his phone again and probably asking for the next couple of sweatshirts that they get next year. And I told the girls I'll be coming back for practice and I'll be putting on a red jersey and being annoying. But it's not over. It's not over, and that's why I'm not overly upset about it, because it's not. Like, it's not like we're parting ways and, you know, I'm moving back to Australia and using landline phone. Like, no, like we're still going to be very much connected.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open it up with questions for the head coach.
Jenna Lifshin, Kentucky Colonel. Coach, multiple times this season you've mentioned that in practice and games with Georgia, sometimes you don't know who's coaching who. Looking at this season specifically, what have you learned about her and about yourself through your relationship?
Her growth, maturity has gone through the roof this year. And, you know, you get to a point where sometimes you have special players and you kind of know that it's time for them to move on, because she was just so special. She was coaching us some. She was, you know, interjecting her thoughts more. And this year, probably more so than any, they became conversations. It wasn't a lecture. It wasn't, hey, you do as I say. They became conversations. And when they become conversations, you're in a special situation, because not every coach gets to have that relationship with a player. And I've been blessed to be able to have that, to the point where she didn't just do what I said. You know, she wanted to know why, and it became a point where it was a two-way street. And it's fun. You know, sometimes some coaches don't ever get it. Sometimes you get it once. But, you know, when you have it, you learn to appreciate it. And as she mentioned before, this year was very special for our relationship, because it grew even more so when you didn't think it could grow.
Kenny Ben Baby with ESPN. As I know, y'all were devoting a ton of resources to Ayoka down in the paint, but as they were getting hotter from the perimeter, how do you determine and kind of gauge with that giving backside help versus kind of leaving that open on the wing?
Pick your poison, you know, and with Ayoka Lee in the lineup for them, they're a different basketball team. And what we had to do is, you know, I had to go back to watch film from early, I think, January, you know, to kind of see what they were and how they were doing things. And, you know, it's like last year, you know, I remember, you know, we lost an All-American right before the tournament started, and we had to change everything that we were. This year, they gained an All-American, you know, and that's going to bode well for them as she continues to get in shape and be able to get in game shape, because they're not a 5-seed team the way they're constructed right now. They're a 2 or a 3. And so I don't know who they I think if USC wins, that's going to be a tough matchup, because they would have been a top 10 team if Ayoka had been there the whole season. And so we ran into a situation where they benefited from, you know, adding an All-American. And so we had to look at it. It was almost like, okay, give up an easy 2 or try to contest a 3 on the perimeter and hope that they missed. And in the beginning, they did. You know, we were able to, you know, build a little bit of momentum. But then, you know, Poindexter, you know, give her credit. You know, she knocked down some very tough shots. And we had a couple of situations where we had miscommunication, and she got free and we didn't contest her shot. But you give her credit, she stepped up, she knocked them down. I think she made 8 of them.
I know the first season didn't end the way you wanted to, but what do you think about your first overall season here in Lexington at Kentucky?
Yeah, the season's going to end the way that somebody wants it for one program in the country. Whether it's today, whether it's next week, whether it's yesterday, whether it's whatever. You're going to have this sting. But I think in my maturity as a coach, you take the emotion out of it and you look at the facts, and the facts are, I don't know, what people expected us to do this year, but we always believed in ourselves, and even though we had adversity, we stepped up, and the kids reinvented themselves, but they always believed in themselves. And the first year was I would deem it a success. We were 23 and I think 8 now, and we're one floater away from going to the Sweet 16. But more importantly, we built the foundation. Big Blue Nation was terrific tonight. They were loud. They got to witness a great basketball game, and I think we're going to build off of that. It's been a terrific year. I love Lexington. I love what Big Blue Nation is willing to put into and pour into women's sports, and so I think it's something for us to be excited about. And overall, I think it was a success. It's a lot of fun.
Coach Corey here with Bosmer Media. How big of an impact has this fan base and the culture here in Lexington made on you in your first season?
Well, that's why I came here. And obviously, when you make a major move like I did, you have to have reasons. And part of the reason was, I felt like this was a sleeping giant when you have the Kentucky brand behind you, and you can bring in good players who are going to play a really good style of basketball. It's just going to energize the fan base, and I haven't been disappointed. I think Kentucky fans are very knowledgeable. They want to win, but they also want you to represent the university, the brand, in a very positive way. And I think that we've done that. So the future's bright. We had a very good first year. I don't know when you guys hired me, but if you think about 1 year ago today, and then you say, okay, 1 year from today, you're going to be sitting there, and you're a floater away from going to the Sweet 16. Pretty remarkable, and once the sting, leaves, and I sit down and really reflect on it, and I told the kids, I said, this is one of the most enjoyable seasons I've ever had in my 24 years of coaching because of the way that they came together.
Caroline McCaskis, Lexington Herald Leader. Coach, you mentioned, all of the changes that came with taking this job, and now that the season has come to a close, will you speak to the role that your family played throughout this process?
Yeah, man. Ooh, you just touched a nerve right there. I couldn't do it without them, and the way that they support, and it was a big reason why I came here with the administration and their support of me with my family by my side. That's the only way I could have done it. And obviously, it's well documented what my wife has gone through, what we've gone through with my wife. And we're a village, and I can't, she's the biggest fan that I have. My daughters are the biggest fans that I have. This is an opportunity for me to be able to get some of that time back that I missed when I was a young coach. And I felt like I was so busy making a life, I wasn't living a life. And I get an opportunity now to just get bonus time. And, they're so positive and just such a positive influence on my program. Gabby played 4 games, but she's the life of the party in the locker room. She helps humanize me. The girls would go to her and say, well, is he mad? And she can interpret all that. She can tell them what's going on. That's really what helped our locker room, other than Georgia knowing me. Kendall is, she's a big supporter. They're basketball fans. They have basketball minds, and they're there for the kids. And you can't forget Chloe. Chloe's in France. Chloe stays up, and I don't know what time it is now, but she watches every one of our games, and she calls me and she asks me, and she'll preface it and she'll say, this is a coaching question, or this is a dad question, and she'll say, why did you do this? Why did you do that? But it's just a support, and I couldn't do it without them. And I don't want to do it without them, because I think that it gives us an opportunity to make this program a family. And so many people will look at it and say, okay, they'll try to make the narrative that you can't intersect family and business. And I learned from Vic Schaefer that you can do it. You can do it. You have to do it the proper way. But my family, they do a really good job, and I couldn't do it without them. And that's why I'm here. Because they gave me the opportunity to inject family into a program. And that's the way that we will operate.
Hey, Coach. Brad from College Sportscast. So down the stretch, seemed like it was haymaker after haymaker.
It was.
In the game. At the end of the game there, the last 20 seconds or so, it seemed like you guys had great effort, and several of them just laid on the rim. Just kind of walk me through that.
Yeah, we had opportunities, throughout the whole basketball game, and I think everybody will try to focus on the floater that Georgia missed at the end. But I think Georgia had a 3 towards the end. Amelia Hassett had a wide open 3. We had opportunities, So we're gonna leave. We know we went down fighting. We had the opportunities that we wanted. Yes, we wish we could have stepped up and knocked them down, but it wasn't for lack of effort. And some of the things that happened, you give them credit. We had a lead, and they had to make shots, and they did, and they made those big shots. We came back down. We were countering, and it was a terrific basketball game, and I think that a lot of people will be able to enjoy it. There had to be a winner. There had to be a loser. And I think that's what makes March so special. But we had our opportunities. We know that. We didn't fumble it away. We didn't kick it away. We didn't make a bad decision. We had the opportunities. They stepped up, made theirs, and we had the opportunity. We just didn't make ours.
That's all the time that we have for questions. Just want to send a special thank you to each of you in this room, too, for your coverage and support of women's basketball.
I echo that sentiment because you guys help grow this sport, with your hard, tireless effort. You guys do a really good job of putting it on paper, whether I agree with what you say or not. I really appreciate your efforts, and this game will grow if you guys keep covering like that. So thank you guys so much.